pressure on the regime, we also believe that there is a brighter path available to North Korea. They have expressed a desire to hold talks, but let us be completely clear. Denuclearization must be the result of any dialogue with North Korea. Until then, the United States and the world must continue to make it known that North Korea's nuclear and missile programs are a dead end.
North Korea says it's willing to talk with the U.S. That message was relayed through South Korea's presidential office. But it takes two parties to start a dialogue, and the United States is once again insisting that talks can only happen once the North has made a solid commitment to abandon its nuclear weapons program. Lee Seung-jae tells us more.
It seems the United States and North Korea are inching toward direct talks, but only under one condition. The White House released a statement on Sunday saying the U.S. will see if North Korea's willingness for talks is a commitment to denuclearize. It added that the U.S. and the world must continue to make clear that Pyongyang's nuclear and missile programs are a dead end. However, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said Pyongyang's willingness to talk is a first step along the path to denuclearization.
It's been a dizzying array of signals this morning, just as we saw Ivanka Trump sit down at the closing ceremonies, one seat over from a top North Korean intelligence official, North Korea's leader blasting out a statement calling the brand new U.S. sanctions an act of war.
This comes as South Korea's presidential office released a statement earlier in the day stating that Kim Young-chul expressed North Korea's willingness to begin dialogue with the U.S. when he met with President Moon Jae-in shortly before the closing ceremony of the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics. According to a spokesman for the Blue House, President Moon pointed out that the U.S.-North Korea dialogue must take place in order to improve relations between the two Koreas and to find a fundamental solution to issues on the Korean Peninsula. The spokesman added the North Korean delegates agreed that inter-Korean ties and relations between the North and the U.S. should develop simultaneously. Dubbed the Peace Olympics, there's hope the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics have opened doors for a more peaceful peninsula and could potentially be the catalyst that brings the U.S. and North Korea back to talks.
Sanctions are starting to have an effect, both the UN sanctions and U.S. sanctions. And so the North Koreans are starting to see that they need relief, either getting money from South Korea or coming to terms with the international community. Now, I don't think that the North Koreans are at the point where they realize they've got to give up their weapons. But if the Trump administration, for instance, were to be more rigorous in imposing and enforcing sanctions, I think we might actually get to a point where we can have a peaceful resolution of this that is in everybody's interest.
We've heard from the White House that their starting point on this is that the nuclear weapons have to be up for negotiation. Could that derail any sort of dialogue?
Well, it could. You know, anything could derail dialogue. Now, Vice President Pence, when he returned from the opening ceremonies on Air Force Two, told the Washington Post's Josh Rogan that the U.S. would be willing to talk to North Korea without preconditions. But the North Koreans have yet to say that they're willing to talk about their nuclear weapons program. All they said was they're willing to talk to the U.S. And I suppose that what we're going to have is a sort of back and forth for several months over the conditions on the unconditional talks. So this is going to be interesting to watch, and you know, both sides are going to be difficult. But I think that they'll get to the point where they actually will sit down and talk with each other.
How concerned should people be that perhaps the North is just engaging in a PR exercise to try to look good?
Well, you know, of course, the North Koreans always do that. And so, yeah, that's one of the things you got to be concerned about. But if the Trump administration were to start actually imposing costs on Beijing and Russia for busting sanctions, you know, I'm sort of optimistic that we might actually get to a good resolution. But, you know, you always have to worry about the North Koreans because that's the way that they have interacted with the international community. As someone who's very wise in these things said, no country has ever been able to figure out how to have good relations with Pyongyang.
You know, there's been a lot of mention about those sanctions and how deep they are, but
What kind of a role did the Olympics play in all of this, in getting the two sides, the North and the South, to acknowledge each other?
Well, I don't know the answer to that question, and we very well may never know. I mean, the point is, the Olympics gave an opportunity for Moon Jae-in, the South Korean president, to talk to various North Korean officials. But I think the North, one way or another, without the Olympics, would have managed a way of finding some avenue to talk to the United States, because they have to. The sanctions are really starting to hurt. For instance, people are saying that North Korea is going to run out of its foreign currency reserves by October. We're starting to see even senior officials in Pyongyang are having problems getting their rations from their special distribution channel. All sorts of indications that the sanctions are really starting to have an effect. And so North Korea has no choice but to come talk to the United States.
I think that President Xi is unique. He's helping us with North Korea, who, by the way, wants to talk. As of last night, you heard that. They want to talk. And we want to talk also only under the right conditions. China has really done more probably than they've ever done because of my relationship. We have a very good relationship. But President Xi is for China, and I'm for the United States. And Russia is behaving badly because Russia is sending in what China is taking out. So China's doing pretty good numbers, but Russia is now sending a lot of stuff in. But I think they want to see it come to an end also. I think everybody does. Talking about tremendous potential loss of lives, numbers that nobody's ever even contemplated, never thought of. So they want to talk. First time, they want to talk. And we'll see what happens. That's my attitude. We'll see what happens.